Now that the thruster is installed on the outside, the rest of the remainder of the work is done on the inside. Now I've got a place along this wall here that I can install the switch, the fuse, and the module all in this order.
You will have to source your own cables. It is essential that the correct type of marine-grade tin-coated copper cables are used, and the maximum cable length guidelines are observed according to the gauge and the thruster model. Once cut, you will need to add lugs to all but 2 ends with the tool provided.
So I'm going to show you how this little piece of equipment works and how we put these on. Size up where my cable needs to be cut, and then you're going to strike it to crimp your cable. You take the shrink wrap that we supply you, slide it over top, and you simply close up the shrink wrap, and your cable is complete. Put them on the motor controller first and tighten them in place. The motor controller can be put in some pretty tight places, so when you're bringing your red cable and your black cable from your batteries around, it's nice that you don't have to try and work in a tight, confined space where you possibly can short things out.
The motor controller, battery, and switch are all connected with lugs, but the fuse is connected directly to the bare wire.
The last wire we're going to install is the ground wire, and on this model you only need one ground wire, 5/16 at one end, 3/8 on the other. 5/16 is going to go on the ground connection on the motor controller, and my ground wire will then attach to my ground on the battery, and the major wiring on this system is complete. There's one more set of wires to go on here. Now you're going to see red wires and green wires and blue wires, and it's all going to be scary. Don't worry about it.
The wiring diagram in the installation manual makes connecting the harness easy. The green and blue wires determine the direction of the thruster to port or starboard. We will test the thruster direction later, and if not correct, we simply swap the position of these 2 wires. The other end of the harness has a 4-pin plug, which you insert into the wireless receiver. When 12-volt power is applied, the red LED on the receiver will blink once every 7 seconds. When the joystick is turned on and connects, that LED will turn a solid red. Very handy for troubleshooting. Now, just use the supplied Velcro strips to mount the receiver. And that completes the wiring part of the bow thruster install. Notice the voltmeter on the fuse holder? If you keep this in an easy-to-see location, you can check thruster battery voltage whenever you want. Well, Pat, we have pretty much finished, and I believe the last part is putting the joystick controller in place.
There's a simple plug-in cord. We'll connect it to 12 volts and ground. That is it. Finding a place for it can be tricky sometimes. I like the customer to really be involved in this, and the customer today has asked to put it right here on the dash.
Before you start drilling holes, be sure to check behind the panel to ensure you don't drill into a wire or a steering cable. You want at least 4 inches of clearance behind the dash for drilling.
That hole saw is 2.5 inches.
Whew, big one.
Yeah, so when it goes through the other side, if there's anything there, it's generally going to do a lot of damage.
A multimeter really helps when hunting for 12-volt power.
You don't need a high-end one, you just need one that'll give you 12 volts, and it'll really help you to find your source of power for your joystick. I like using the cigarette lighter. It has a good, solid, constant 12 volts to it. You know, if you park the boat and you get it all and you step off the boat and you go home for the day, this will only stay on for about 5 minutes, and then it's just going to shut itself off automatically.
Using the supplied power cable, connect the positive and negative to a 12-volt source under the helm. To connect to this existing 12-volt adapter, Pat simply crimped on a couple of piggyback push-on terminals. Clickety-click, barb a trick. Time to drill a big hole.
We have a template that we put here.
Is that the one that blew away in the wind earlier?
That's the one that blew away in the wind. I'm pretty good without the template because it's probably about 300 of these holes I've drilled.
Now when you're going to mount it, I think one thing I would like people to think about considering is whether or not they drive their boat and park their boat whether they're sitting or standing, because certainly on this one, big difference in location. Great spot to the left if you're sitting, but terrible spot to the left if you're standing. You have to bend over to reach it. So think about how you park your boat. Do you stand or do you sit? The best time to vacuum is right after drilling. You really don't want to track fiberglass dust all over the boat. To hook it up, simply pull the wires through the hole and plug into the back of the joystick.
When you plug it in, you will hear a single beep. You can power it up, and you can now try it.
Once you confirm the joystick will power on and operate the thruster, you just need to seal it in place with the supplied Sikaflex sealant. So that's about it. We're basically done.
We are.
How do we know when we push left, the boat's going to go to port, and when we push right, the boat's going to go to starboard?
Well, you know what, John? I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to show you how to fix that.
So what do you think, Pat? 50-50, right or wrong? Bow or stern was wrong? Bow?
I'm going to go with 50-50. I'm going to go this one's right.
All right, let's see. Starboard?
And I'm wrong.
Dang, but easy to fix, right?
But good thing I'm not a betting man.
That's right, me neither.
But an easy, very easy fix. Let's go inside and I'll show you how to fix that.
Show me how.
Okay.
Sounds good. All you have to do to change direction of the propellers is simply switch the two small outside wires on the motor controller. And that is it for the bow thruster.